Hello everyone, my name is Michael Hicks, and this week we are looking at strategic recommendations for Curtiss-Wright. So getting right into their stocks, this is a 10-year performance chart for Curtiss-Wright and some other competitors. You can see at the beginning of the chart in 2013, Curtiss-Wright was still at the top, but they were closer in price to their competitors. And then as time goes on, they have just left the other competitors in the dust. Now I'm going to say this isn't all of their competitors, but it is two of them. You can see in 2019, Curtiss-Wright did take a hit. Just about every company did. You can see the two competitors, they do show a downturn in profit, but it's not as drastic as Curtiss-Wright. The end of the chart, which is current today, Curtiss-Wright is sitting at about $162 per share. And then the other two are roughly $56 and $7 respectively. And since 2013, Curtiss-Wright has increased their stocks by roughly $130, and one of them actually decreased in price, and then the other competitor only brought theirs up by about $30. So Curtiss-Wright has been on a pretty consistent incline over the past 10 years. So because of this incline, the expansion of their research and development I think would be beneficial. Now if you look at the chart, there is their gross profits, their net earnings, and then their R&D expenses. You can see for the past 3 years, 2020 through 2022, there has been an increase in gross profit, an increase in net earnings. However, the R&D budget has remained pretty much consistent. You take all three of those numbers and average them out, it's about $81 million a year. Now, while $81 million isn't anything to laugh at, the increase of the R&D budget, and I would recommend a modest increase to $100 million per year, because it is a realizable amount, and it's not going to bankrupt the company at all, and it would barely affect the net earnings received each year. And why would we want to increase the R&D budget? Well, Curtiss-Wright wants to deliver state-of-the-art solutions to their customers. And if they're spending the current amount just to maintain their products, that wouldn't be state-of-the-art, that would be maintenance. So spending extra money in research and development could lead the way to newer components, more efficient components, or improvements on existing components. So spending the extra money in the R&D budget, it would help achieve their vision of delivering state-of-the-art products. Speaking of state-of-the-art products, mergers and acquisitions. Curtiss-Wright is no stranger to purchasing new companies. And on average, since 2017, Curtiss-Wright has purchased one company per year, with the exception of 2020. However, the Dynaflow was purchased in March of 2020, and then Packstar was purchased in December. So for argument's sake, it would be roughly one a year. Now, why am I mentioning the companies that Curtiss-Wright has purchased already? Well, that's because the purchase of an electronic manufacturer would be beneficial to this company. Even in their second quarter 2023 investor report, it shows that electronic components and freight and delivery are still being affected by supply chain issues. Now, since they don't own an electronics company or a manufacturer, the acquisition of one, it actually could increase the amount of components that Curtiss-Wright has access to. It would put them higher on the list. It would essentially make them a priority shipment instead of just a customer. And since they would be shipping components from one Curtiss-Wright location to another, it would streamline and reduce the costs for freight and delivery. On top of that, Curtiss-Wright could also use this manufacturer to sell components to other clients or direct competitors of Curtiss-Wright, which would only stand to increase the profits that Curtiss-Wright receives. And With electronic aircraft, it is a relatively unexplored market. Now, there are a few companies, many of them are small. Aviation actually has a all-electric aircraft, and it does fly, but it's still a relatively small company. And I feel that since both Curtiss and the Wright brothers were pioneers of aviation when it first took flight, no pun intended, they could be pioneers in this age again. They could be pioneering electronic aviation. You know, you don't have to be the first, but you have to be the last. So with the background that Curtiss-Wright possesses in aviation, since they got out in the after World War II of aircraft production because it was a saturated market and they knew jets were the way of the future. Well, now electronic aircraft could be the way of the future, and they could get back into it. So using their background in aviation and the fact that the company has based its profits on innovative technologies for aviation, defense, and all other kinds of things, they could use that as a foothold to become a leading manufacturer of electric aircraft. And the acquisition of a electronics manufacturer and the increased R&D budget would only stand to benefit the creation of an electronic aircraft division. Now with electric aircraft, it also aligns with the company's visions for zero or low emissions vehicles. The production lines that Curtiss-Wright already owns could easily accept the new products that would be produced. And if they had an in-house electronic manufacturer, it would definitely streamline the process. And if they needed proprietary parts or one-off parts that would cost an exceptional amount to manufacture with a third party, having an in-house, you're only paying for the R&D and the actual manufacture of it and any necessary materials for the production. You wouldn't be worried about the profits of the other company. And as the market grows, Curtiss-Wright can also take into consideration other companies that are involved in electronic aircraft production. And since they're no stranger to mergers and acquisitions, they could potentially purchase another e-aviation company, which would only stand to benefit them by giving them additional experience and information in electronic aviation, and it would also grow Curtiss-Wright as one of the leading companies in electronic aviation. And these are the references that I used for this presentation. I thank you for watching, and it's going to be weird not making one of these next week. Just got so used to making a PowerPoint every week, but who knows, maybe I'll see some of you in my next class. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you later.